Well, what's up, international sports chiropractic community? I am super excited to have another conversation with my good buddy, Dr. Stephen Franson. Stephen, what's up, man?
What's up, Dr. J? What's up, everybody?
It's good to see you. And this has been a really remarkable, to use kind of the important word as it relates to what you do. This has been really a remarkable series that we've done, and we've gotten lots of really good feedback from the audience around the content and how important it is in helping chiropractors understand their life cycle. So let's get right to it. Let's just briefly review what we've covered in the past couple of weeks, those two stages, and then let's talk about scale.
Right on.
I'm going to do a quick mic check. Can you hear me okay, Jay?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, great. So yeah, it's been a great conversation. I know that we've gotten some awesome feedback on it because we're really speaking to where all these docs are. You know, they're in one of these 4 seasons. There's no question about it, and they hear themselves in the characteristics, but they definitely feel the pain when we start talking about the challenges in each of the seasons. So today we're going to be having a conversation about scale. And just as a quick recap, there's 4 seasons to the chiropractic career. There's launch, build, scale, and exit. And we talked about launch, which is first year out. We talked about build, which is when you're the owner operator. In other words, you're the only healthcare provider in the space. Today, we're going to be talking about scale, which is when you add other chiropractors or other healthcare providers into your business. And then the next time we're together, we talk about exit, which I'm super excited about that as well, because I know it's a hot topic. People are trying to figure out how to ready themselves for exit. So we're actually bringing in one of our remarkable experts, Fred Pinto, who's an attorney, and we'll be talking about the readiness factor, right? Getting yourself, getting your practice, getting your business ready for exit. So today's a very important part of that conversation. We're going to go upstream from exit and help people scale their practice so that they can exit well.
Love it. So let's get to it.
All right, man.
Talk to us about scale.
So when it comes to scaling, there's really 3 big things that we want to, three big boxes we want to tick. All right. The first is systems. The second is team. And then, of course, a part of that scalability, durability equation is a member of the team or members of the team, and that's associate doctors, right? So that seems to be the big riddle. So we'll probably spend the most time with this conversation here today. So, that first piece is systems, which I know is something that is near and dear to you and your heart, and the way you run your businesses and practice is systems, right? So you either have systems or you have a job, right? So you either systematize everything so that you can have predictable positive outcomes, right? So that you can have consistent output, whether that's better health outcomes or business outcomes, right? So everything has to be systematized: attraction, conversion, retention, team building, all of it, right? So if you systematize things, you can delegate them. Okay. If you delegate them and you systematize, you can train people. If you systematize, then you can hold people accountable to outcomes. So systems are awesome, Jay. And I know you know that it's usually the missing X factor in a practice. Many practices, many doctors feel like they are systematized, but the truth is, when you ask them, are they captured in a manual? Could you hand me their manual that said, this is what we do, how we do, and when we do it, this is what we say when we do it, and where, who does it in the process, etc. Then they start making funny faces saying, yeah, actually, I don't think we have a current manual. Maybe there's a 3-ring binder in the back office, but ultimately, as you know, Jay, systems are key.
Yeah, it's so crazy because I was speaking at the Florida Chiropractic Association conference, and I was talking about how to leverage technology in order to build out systems and drive better outcomes for patients, create more income for your practice. And I asked the audience, and there was well over 150 people in the room. I was like, so how many of you actually have a training manual? And seriously, 5 people raised their hand. And I was like, wow. So there's a big opportunity for us to help doctors understand not just the importance of it, but like how to put it together, how to create these systems.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to recreate the wheel, right? So there's lots of systems out there. There's lots of proven systems out there. So you have to know, how do I want to practice? What does success look like to me? What do I want my practice to operate like? What kind of output are we looking for? And then find a mentor or a group that has systems that are going to predictably produce that, right? It's like a black box. It spits something out on the other side, right? So the second piece of this is team, right? So 95% of our problems are people problems. Okay? Anybody who owns a business knows exactly what I mean when I say that. So
The audience is
this,
going like this
yeah,
right now. Yeah.
yeah, and it's true for all of us. 95% of our problems are people problems. As you get better at this, you don't have fewer problems, you just have better problems, right? So,
Mhm.
but 95% of your problems are people problems. So you want to really get this right. And when it comes to scale, the challenge that most people have in creating scalability, which means you can give more, love more, serve more, deliver more value, capture more value. In other words, make a bigger impact, make a bigger income. Usually what ends up happening is they have trouble putting together a team. Okay.
Mhm.
Because without that team, you have to continue to build on brute force, not using leverage, right? So leverage means that you can utilize other people to run those systems and really make a bigger impact. All right. But if you don't attract A players or convert A players into your team or retain A players on your team, and you start having this revolving door and turnaround with pay, it's terrible, right? So it's terrible
Terrible.
on you,
Yep.
terrible for the practice, right?
Yep.
So we teach a system around what we call the 4 rights, and this is an easy thing for everybody to implement immediately, which is you got to make sure that you get the right people in the right seat doing the right work the right way. You know, a full discussion of that's outside the scope of this conversation, but in short, A players are, or I should say the right people are A players who share your core values and buy into your vision story. They're excited
Yep.
about where you're going and the vision you paint in your vision casting. Well, if you find that A player, then the riddle is let me get him into the right role, okay, which means the right position in your team. Every business has a set of functions. There's usually a role or a position in a business that's called a function. There's responsibilities that are organized underneath that role, and those responsibilities call for a very specific human being that has a set of qualities, experience, talent, skills, etc. You've got to get the right person in the right role. Okay. So God only makes geniuses. Our job as a leader is to identify the genius that's required for each of the roles of our business, get the right person in there. Right. Then it's getting them to do the right work. Right. So making sure that they are focused on the right thing at the right time. Okay. So that means using a mechanism. We use a scorecard, using a mechanism to capture the time, energy, and focus and get people focused on what work they should be doing right now as a priority. I like to say that focus makes the difference between busyness and productivity.
Yeah.
So none of us want to be busier. We all want to be more productive. And lastly, the 4th right, which is doing it the right way, that's training, right? The best ROI, return on investment of your time, energy, focus, and money is in training and developing your people, right seat, doing the right work the right way.
The 4 rights. I love it. And one thing that you mentioned that I want to make sure that it's emphasized to the audience, you mentioned about the right people aligning with your core values. And again, there are a lot of practices out there that don't have mission statements, don't have vision statements, don't have core values. And I'm like, that is the framework with which you create and build a remarkable practice. And without that, how are you going to have performance conversations around not just skill sets and deliverables, but also how they're behaving, how they're aligning with those core values? So maybe just speak to the audience a bit about, if the doctor doesn't have their core values written down or their mission statement written down, what are some of the things they can do relatively quickly to get that down, to get it sound, so that they can retain the right people for their practice?
It's such an important question. So this is one of those roll your eyes conversation. People like, especially if you've been around enough, you're like, oh my gosh, are we really talking about core values and mission statements?
Yes, we are.
It's like, yes, because
Yes.
I could pin you down right now and say, tell me what your core values are. Or how about
100%.
this one? I'll ask anybody in your team right now, walk around your business right now. What are the core values of this business? And I'll tell you what, they better not have to go out to the waiting room and look at a placard that's hanging in the wall, framed up beautiful. It's like, oh, let me read you our core values. It's like, no.
No.
Core values are not marketing fodder, right? Core values are an inward facing conversation for a business, right? These are the guardrails for the business, right? So core values mean this is what's most important here. And Jay, the way we use core values is to be able to say, if you're hiring somebody, listen, we hire by these core values and we fire by these core values. So listen to them. I want to know, do we share these core values? Because it's going to become really obvious really quickly if you don't. Okay. We hire by them and we fire by them. Okay. That's huge. What you say is, this is what you can expect from me and everyone on this team. And everyone on this team, including me, is going to expect this from you, right? And then review the core values and help them understand what that means.
It's great. I love it. And it's just so important. So if you need help, reach out to Stephen and he can help walk you through some of these really critical elements of building a business that can scale. So if we've got the right people and they're in the right seat, they're doing the right work, they're doing it the right way, what are the most important things that the provider needs to be thinking about as it relates to now taking that person and helping them grow the practice, helping them grow their impact, helping them grow personally, professionally, and financially? What are some of the key elements that the leader, that the owner needs to take in order to ensure success?
Yeah, I'm going to spend 30 seconds answering this, because if we don't address this associate doctor thing, I think people are going to throw both of us overboard. So when I say the best return on your investment of your time, energy, focus, and money is in training and equipping and developing your people, which means you have to establish a training culture in your business. It has to be cultural. So it's something that happens all the time. It's never a question of whether it's going to happen. We have competency checklists. We have a training curriculum. We have the training scheduled on the calendar, and there's no question that they're happening, right? So we are going to train like lives depend on it, right? Because they do.
They do. Yeah.
Train like a Navy SEAL, right? It's like we're going to show up to this relationship between a patient and us and recognize that the patient is going to come from the world with all kinds of variables, right? They're going to bring their cat circus of their life into our practice. Our practice has to be a constant. We can't be the variable. We have to know what we do, when we do it, how we do it, what we say when we do it. We have to train on it so that we're not focusing on process, procedures, and scripting. We're focusing on the human being in front of us.
Yep. I love it. It's great.
Right.
Yep. 100%. So what are the biggest mistakes that you see providers making during the scale phase?
I think the biggest fumbles happen with associate doctors.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to bring on an associate doctor, but they lack total clarity around why. Okay.
Yep.
So most doctors that approach us looking to hire an associate, whether it's I need coaching through the Remarkable Practice, or I need to help find me an associate through Chiro Matchmakers. I live in this space.
Yep.
People show up and they'll say, how do I hire a chiropractor, and how much should I pay them? Right? Like those are the two questions. How do I find them, and how much do I pay them? Right? So I'm like, great questions, but those aren't the best questions, right? Those are the wrong questions to ask initially, right? So the first questions you want to ask is, exactly why do you want to hire an associate doctor? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? You got to get total clarity around that, right? So in other words, what does success look like to you? If this goes really well, why would you be doing this incredibly difficult thing? Jay, 67% of these relationships fail, which is a terrible statistic, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard to do this right. So you need to know going into this, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. I want to hire an associate doctor because I want to grow. I want to increase the capacity of us to serve. I want to be able to add more value, make a bigger impact, great growth, expansion. Or maybe I want to do a plant to partner or a plant to purchase, where they're going to plant multiple practices. Great. There's a reason to find an associate. Or maybe I'm trying to claw back my time freedom. I need somebody else. I need another set of hands, or I'm maxing out in our capacity. I need a couple of doctors in here to help me deliver more care. Or I want time freedom to become more of a CEO.
Sure.
Or I want more time freedom to do more marketing, or maybe work with my team more, right? Or maybe it's I want to spend more time with my family, get back to skiing, CrossFit, working out,
surfing,
maybe vacations, surfing, right? So whatever your reason is, if it's time freedom, that's great. Know what that is. Or maybe it's peace of mind. I need to know that I don't have exposure being the only provider in this business. God forbid anything happens to me, the place screeches to a halt. Or maybe I'm looking for legacy and I want to have somebody buy the practice and take over, and I want to make sure I have a great successor. So that's what I mean, Jay, by exactly what are you trying to accomplish before you try to hire an associate. Then it's, well, what do you want the associate doctor to do to help manifest that? Okay, what's their role going to be? And that means specifically, what's their job description? Exactly what do you want them to do in marketing or in conversion What do you want them to do in retention and caregiving? Are they going to be involved in team building, et cetera? Like, you've got to get a job description down that delineates exactly what you want them to do, job description.
Yeah.
And then it's exit strategy, which is, where is this relationship going? How's this relationship going to end? How's it end for you as the owner? How's it end for them as a talent, right? So all of that information comes together and it informs who you're looking to hire. And it's outside of the scope of this conversation to really go deep on this, but generally there's two types of chiropractors. There's caregivers and there's business builders, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's caregivers and business builders. And most people listening to this right now, they're most likely business builders, right? Probably attracting a bunch of people who are like, man, I love, owning a practice. I love marketing, attracting new patients, converting, hiring and firing, leading a team, building a business from vapor. It's like, I really love to build a business. That's the business builder side of it. Caregivers, they're the ones that are like, man, I love being a doctor.
Right.
I love taking care of patients. I love doing exams, consultation, analysis, checking spines, changing minds. I love educating patients. I love hands-on. I love doing the doctoring. Honestly, kind of allergic to that business stuff. I'm risk averse. The idea of this place being riding on my back all the time, that stresses me out, right? So it's like the whole team thing drains my energy, right? So it's like, that's a caregiver, right? And caregivers are awesome. They're awesome doctors. Business builders are those people who really are attracted to the challenge of growing and going with a business, right? So, Jay, you've got to know who you're looking for, and then you've got to know how to identify them. So we test for it, so it becomes very apparent straight away how a person is hardwired. Are they hardwired as a caregiver? Are they hardwired as a business builder? So you should know before you even start marketing for an associate, never mind interviewing, God forbid hiring, without knowing exactly what you're looking for, so that you can set up expectations and agreements, including their contract and their comp plan. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to say on this is where I started. How much should I pay my chiro? Well, that's the wrong question. The right question is, how should I pay my associate? Not how much should I pay my associate. That speaks to a model. Are we talking about the caregiver who really wants the security and the predictability and the stability of a base salary? Or are we talking about that business builder who wants an upside potential? And either one of them, you put in the wrong environment, it's going to stress them out and they're going to be a flight risk.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you mentioned the word clarity. I think it's a point that has to be emphasized. And first of all, I've taken the assessment through Chiro Matchmakers. I thought it was great. It was on point for me.
Yep.
Did it with a couple of my other doctors, on point for them. And I think understanding who we are as leaders, who we are as caregivers, which bucket we fit into, makes a huge difference in assembling the right kind of people on the team. And then also clarity around expectations. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, I know you experienced this as well, Stephen, where you're talking to a chiro and they're struggling, they've got this associate and they've never really set clear expectations. So if you don't have a job description, how is that person supposed to know what great looks like? If they're not metrics and a scorecard attached to those deliverables, how are they supposed to know what great looks like? And
exactly
so,
right.
What you said today was just so, so important. And for those docs out there that have associates that haven't done this groundwork, don't have mission statement, don't have core values, don't have job descriptions, don't have scorecard, now's your opportunity to learn from what Stephen has said and really change your practice so that you can scale successfully. Stephen, we are out of time, my friend, but this has been great. As always, I love talking to you because I always learn so much. It's just great to hear you speak about these topics that you're so passionate about.
It's a privilege, man. I appreciate it.
And I know that you've got a giveaway today, correct, for the audience?
Yep. As always, I always show up with some toys. So today what I'm bringing is just a guide. You heard me go through, just was like I don't even call it a tip of the iceberg conversation. This could be a 4-day seminar and it is. Yep. So we're giving away our success pathway, right? So there's an infographic that outlines all of these steps for you. So you can tick these things off and just recognize, you know what, I need to make sure I do this the right way. It's wicked hard to do, but it's worth it. So we're going to give away what we call our success roadmap. So I'm sure we'll put the link down in the show notes, but for my note takers, it's www.theremarkablepractice.com/Greenstein roadmap.
I got a gift named after me. I
Look
love
at that,
it,
man.
dude. Hey, listen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you for just being the great person that you are. And
Thanks
I am
again.
looking forward to seeing you next week, my friend.
Awesome, brother. All right, guys. God bless everybody.
See you guys.